there. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever it is, whenever it is, in your part of the world. This is episode 7, part 1 of the Let's Make Some Noise series. Believe it or not, we are actually filming this on the same night as we filmed episode 6. Yes, we are crazy, but we're having fun with this, for sure. Thank you everyone for tuning in for last week's episode and for everything we've done in the series so far. I hope you're enjoying it. For everyone that has all their new gear in hand, I hope you're getting inspired and getting creative with it. Nice roundup of players tonight. Got Michael Williams playing on bass through the Spaceman Aurora flanger right now. We've got Alex Alfortish here for just a minute, running a drum machine through the Chase Bliss and Mara CXM 1978. And we've got Paul Emden running through the retroactive diving bell lo-fi delay. It's going to be a good night. We've actually got a smaller lineup of pedals tonight, and it's just the way that things kind of worked out with the episode that we are looking to shoot. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's go ahead and dive in and check out some sounds. All right, first off for this episode, we are going to dig into the excellent Walrus M1 high fidelity modulation device. This pedal came out last year and it really blew me away. I did a full form demo on it and I really got to dig in. It does so much. We probably won't be able to cover every facet of this pedal, but we can go over quite a bit. I really love that there are true stereo ins and outs, so we're actually running this in stereo right now. There's MIDI in and through on top, and there's also a USB port on the side because Walrus is really great about updating their devices and fixing, any errors that might pop up over time or anything like that. They have really good customer service. So what this is a multi-mode modulation device. It uses the Shark DSP processing just like their D1 and R1 series. It means it's a very powerful pedal. So they crammed a lot into it. The center knob is going to switch between what type of modulation you want to choose. And pretty much everything that you would think of is here, except for flanging. But you can absolutely manipulate things to get some flanging type effects in this as well. So you've got chorus, phaser, tremolo, vibrato, rotary, and filter mode. And within each of those modes, you also have 3 different types of those effects. So that's really cool. That's a lot of different options on board. But what I like even more are the secondary parameters in this, where you can add massive reverb to any of your modulation sections that you choose, or the age, noise, and wobble parameters that can get you into lo-fi tones. So it says it's a high fidelity modulation machine, but my favorite purpose for this is actually to use it as a low fidelity modulation machine. It can do both. The parameters are simple and all up on the top, and they mostly are global, like depth of the effect, your rate. The upper right knob is labeled the lo-fi knob, and this is going to increase or decrease the depth of whatever lo-fi parameters, like the ones I mentioned before, are. So you also have a tune control to affect other parameters like the tone, the symmetry, and the X variable, which is going to be different things in the different settings. You've got multiple onboard presets that you can select with the center toggle, and you can unlock a lot of those with MIDI. And then you also have wave shape, tap tempo division, and you can switch like I said, the 3 effect types by holding down this foot switch and turning the tweak knob. As I said, so much that you can do. All right, let's cut it there. We're just going to engage the device in chorus mode, and I've got some of the lo-fi dialed in right now. Let's just hear some of the sounds. So tap tempo is always really handy, and you can use the right foot switch for that, but it also has really cool secondary features where you hold it and you can get this sort of skipping effect. Very cool, right? Let's flip to phaser. All right, I'm going to dial the lo-fi effect out, and so we're going to hear more clarity in the sound. And I've got the depth pretty cranked in this. You can also add drive to any of the effects. All right, let's do some tremolo. Let's take that drive out, right? And add some reverb. Maybe a little warble. Hear the vibrato here. Yeah, that's the vibrato with the added warble. We'll roll that out. Roll that right back a little bit. And let's take the space out, which is the reverb. Blend in some noise. So now we've got some really dirty lo-fi cassette tones coming out of this. I'm gonna hold down the skip foot switch again. Let's try the rotary. This is of course gonna work better in stereo. Overall, it's really an incredible device. Probably got to be hands down my favorite stereo multi-modulation unit out there. So, fantastic job with this Walrus. All right, we've got another lovely device from Retroactive Pedals here, the Diving Bell Lo-Fi Delay Machine. Like Retroactive's other pedals, the Dot Chaser and the Validity Sensor brings a lo-fi haunting quality to your sound, which we can't really get enough of over here, and I don't think most of the world can either. It's got basic delay controls. You have your feedback, you have your mix, you have your delay time. It's called spacing on here. And then you have a secondary foot switch called tune, which alters the delay time on the fly, and you can do some sort of pitch bending, trippy stuff in the middle of your playing. It's really cool. This switch right here is going to change the delay spacing, giving you just basically different options and a wider range of sounds inside of it. Let's just click it on and hear what it sounds like right off the bat. With that tune foot switch to add some extra trippy sounds in there. Let's turn up the mix and feedback. God, that sounds good. All right. Flipping the slap switch up to the upper position. So obviously this pedal is capable of major ambience. Alright, a very special pedal up next, which we may have to do a few different things to at least demonstrate some of the potential of it. This is the Zoia from Empress Effects, and it's been around for a while, but this pedal is the gift that keeps on giving, not only because they have actually made improvements to the DSP processing and you can update the pedal since its original release, but there is a huge community involved that loves to design sounds and patches and things that you can download and just stick on this micro SD card and pop right into your Zoia. So patchstorage.com is really cool to check out. So many effects and user-built sounds out there. Right out of the box it comes with several preset effects and things to just immediately plug in and play with. It's got true stereo ins and outs. And a huge draw of this pedal is not only its DSP power, but the ability, of course, to design your own sounds within it. So you don't need to be a coding expert. You don't need to have computer software or anything. You can actually design your own effects chain within this unit itself. And yes, the learning curve is a little bit tricky, but it's actually quite simple once you get the hang of it. You pretty much are connecting nodes. You can create a series of effects. If you want to create a tremolo reverb into a distortion and make that one effect, you can also set which parameters you want to be able to control. There's really just limitless options. It also can be used as a synthesizer in and of itself. So many people have designed soundscapes, atmospheric drones that you can download for it. John here has programmed his own sounds, and we're going to use it as an instrument, and we're going to use it as an effects unit as well. So let's just check that out. Yeah, so right off the bat, one of the coolest uses of the Zoia is to check out some of the generative patches that they have out there that just create atmosphere or ambiences. John actually created this one himself. It's like Brian Eno in a box. He's also made some pretty cool effects as well. Let's hear this modulated delay and reverb. Zoia's capabilities really truly are pretty unlimited, so I think that is the major attraction of this pedal and why there's such a huge community that surrounds it. John, let's hear that granular tremolo that you designed. You can see how easily you just switch presets on the fly. It's really an incredible device. All right. The lovely Pretty Bird Woman chorus vibrato from Native Audio. This is a beautiful pedal, and it's got a very simple control interface. I think Native Audio is kind of about that, kind of about not getting lost in all the complexity of some of these modern pedals. Really, it's just about what kind of player you are. So I could see how either really simple pedals or very complex pedals could be appealing for either party. What you have with the Pretty Bird Woman is a depth and a rate, and you can switch from chorus to vibrato on the fly by holding down this foot switch and switching from the left or the right. So, chorus, vibrato, and back to the chorus, right? It's also a pretty powerful sounding chorus and vibrato. Also worth noting, because it's awesome, are 4 onboard presets. Now, even though it's not a complex pedal, I could see where this would be very handy in situations where you want some kind of subtle chorus for a verse movement. Maybe you want something intense for a chorus. And maybe at another part of the song, you want to get some vibrato in there, so you can switch on the fly. It's really cool. Let's hear some of the sounds a little deeper. Tim, let's roll that volume knob up. Lovely, nice, watery sounds. There's no need for a tone control on this. It's already dialed in very tastefully and doesn't overcolor. Doesn't take things too dark. At extreme depths, you can definitely get the weird sounds and the seasick warbles. Oh, very nice. Let's switch to vibrato side. Let's rein that back. Extreme settings. I don't think you can really go wrong with this pedal. Absolutely. All right. We're moving on to the Ground Effects Boneflower preamp and overdrive pedal. It's a dual gain stage, gorgeous looking pedal. All of their pedals have this nice silver sparkle finish to them. There are 6 controls. You've got treble and bass controls. You have a master volume. You have your first gain stage volume with the pre-control and your second gain stage volume with the gain. And you also have a clipping knob on here that is going to select your different blend of clipping options. So on one side you have silicone, one side is germanium, and in the middle or anywhere in between you can blend these things to get different textural options. This pedal can run at 9 volts or higher, 12 or 18 for more headroom, and we definitely tried that. We find it's a little bit cleaner sounding as far as less noise when we run it at 9 volts, so we're going to leave it here. Fantastic sounding pedal, and we're going to push it into an already pretty dirty silk tone amp that's attenuated right now. So you can use this as a almost clean boost. You can absolutely get some crunchy tones on it, but overall it's not a super heavy high gain pedal. It's got a nice character and harmonic texture to it. So let's get Paul to roll up his volume and we're gonna gain it up. Let's try the right side clipping, which I believe is germanium. Silicone clipping. actually find that I like the blend in the center best on this pedal. If we dial both the pre and the gain back and kind of compensate in volume, we get a nice range of light overdrive tones inside this. Spin it. It's just a fantastic sounding pedal. Ground effects does not disappoint. All right, a very special pedal next. The Aurora from Spaceman. This is an all-analog flanger, but this is a very unique device. Not only does it do flange, but it's capable of phasing, vibrato, chorusy sounds, and it has a lot of unique features as well with its trigger foot switch and the 5 different modes that you can pick. It's also a very extreme pedal if you want it to be. The controls are very interactive with each other. We have a setting in LFO 1 mode that we like a lot already, so Harrison's going to roll up his volume and we're just going to start there. The iconic swoosh of the flanger, of course, is present and powerful and very lush. Let's slow that rate down a little. Width is going to control the depth of the flanger effect, the width of your sweep. Got a master volume. Got a region control, which is also going to kind of affect how sharp it all comes through or how smooth it is, and you can kind of dial that into taste. Let's get a little more subtle here. You've got a range knob for the range of the sweep. And these controls will also do different things depending on what mode that you're in. Tape mode is unique, where you can use the trigger foot switch to sort of freeze the modulation when you engage it. So. And then when I release, you hear it return. It's a second LFO mode. And we're going to hear this a little more clearly if we turn up the rate and the mix. You can set the rise and the fall times of the LFO. For me, where the region knob is set really determines whether the effect that you get is usable or whether I would throw it in the kind of overly extreme category. There's a second tape mode, but comb mode is really cool because it freezes the modulation, and you can set the rate and the range knobs to different positions and jump on the fly. Very cool. There's really no pedal like this. Continuing on with our trend of extremely unique devices for the night is the Rainger Effects Drone Rainger. This is a pedal that I think confused people at first when it came out because there was just nothing like it on the market, and there still is very little. There's two independently tunable oscillators. You can select both to be blended. You can make sort of implied chords, or you can just have one note droning. You can also switch between notes. You also have this interesting interfere foot switch, which can sort of spike the pitch upwards or downwards, depending on where this position of this switch on the top is. It also is essentially a delay pedal. So you have a whole set of delay parameters with level, rate, and repeats. And you can control your guitar's output as well as the drone's output. Right now it's engaged, but we have the drone disabled. So let's roll our volume knob up and bring on some drone and see what we can do with this pedal. Right now I have both oscillators implying a G minor chord, the root and a fifth. There's a mix knob here in the center where you can blend the two tones, so I can bring it to one side or the other. And with this foot switch right here, I can switch between. Interfere foot switch. Let's see if we can get into some atmospheric, almost oscillation territory here while we dig down with the interfere foot switch. And we slowly hear that rise back up. It's very cool. Of course, you can lower the level of the drone if you want something more subtle sitting underneath. Very fun pedals, very inspiring. You could really pull some interesting songs out of this alone just by switching the pitches on the fly. I've done it a few times myself. Very cool Rainger effects. All right, moving on. We have the Old Blood Noise XS. Again, a very unique pedal. We seem to have a lot of those on this episode. The XS is sort of a dual-purpose pedal that marries a lot of sounds together. It's a modulation device with this fifths delay that's gorgeous, and a chorus mode as well as a delay mode, and you can use this pedal just for those things alone if you want. There's also a heavy distortion on the right side. Again, you can use this independently. Fantastic sounding, great for sustaining leads and just heavy droning riffs, you name it, whatever. But when you combine these two effects is really where you get to the heart of the XS. And like its namesake, this pedal can be about too much, over the top. Just blast it all to smithereens. Or you can dial things back to taste. Let's just hear some of the modulation, maybe this fifths delay. A depth control is going to control the amount of your modulation. Of course, you have a time knob, so we can set that wherever we like. Fifths is one of those things that forces you to write to it. And you'll soon discover new and interesting chord progressions you thought you wouldn't have thought of. You also have a tone control. Let's switch to the chorus here and slow the rate down. Actually, before that, I'm going to enjoy this watery chorus vibrato here. And of course, the delay. So no matter how you slice it, it's a fantastic sounding modulation and delay pedal. Let's hear the gain side independently. Let's hear some fifths modulation. Let's take the distortion off very quickly just to talk about the different ways that you can blend in the modulation and the distortion on this pedal. Because you have a signal routing selector toggle in the center of the pedal where you can set the modulation to run into the distortion to run into the modulation, or you can run them in parallel where you hear the distorted signal and the clean modulated signal as well, which is what you just heard. Let's run the modulation into the distortion for something a little bit more traditional. Some really weird sounds with the distortion into the modulation. Very cool. We love everything Old Blood Noise makes over here. It's a very cool singular pedal, for sure. All right, the Madoverse Inflection Point. It's a fantastic sounding small box tremolo and vibrato with a huge selection of waveforms, which is something I always really like because that just means that you can get an incredibly diverse palette of sounds, right? So you see the wave shapes drawn, you can switch it to whatever you want, smooth sounds, choppy sounds, you get it. Depth controls, typical, rate, and you have a toggle switch to go from tremolo to vibrato mode, as well as a clean and a wet blend and a master output. Also comes with tap tempo. Now, one really unique feature about this that I love the sound of is the space knob, which instead of adding what you would think would be some kind of traditional spring, plate, hall, some kind of reverb, it's more of this added ringing resonance that gives it almost a cavernous-like feeling. So all in all, it's not just a standard tremolo, it's very unique. But let's get Harrison playing some synth, and then we're just going to run through some of the sounds. There's that added resonance from the space. Now we are fully wet, which is why you hear things sounding extra murky here. It's really almost a flange-like quality with the space and the blend somewhere closer to the middle for chorusy tones. So you hear that metallic overtone there. Let's dial that back. We're going to go to a faster rate. Let's try a square wave. And we'll turn the depth all the way up. One thing I really like is with the wet all the way at 100%, you still don't really get any latency with this. And it really does feel like your tone is just coated in this ooey goodness. Did I say ooey goodness? Because I totally meant to say gooey goodness. All right, let's try the tremolo side out. Tremolo is one of those things that everybody has their own way to use it. You can try and sync things up. You can take things nice and slow and get emotional with it. Or you can just get super choppy. Very cool. It's a very unique sounding pedal. I could see myself getting this just to capture the tones that are hidden inside of here. All right. We have a very nice fuzz pedal up next, which gained quite a lot of notoriety when it came out. The Benson GE Germanium Fuzz. This is the first fuzz pedal to have temperature-controlled transistors. So there is a circuit that is gently warming up the transistors. So you can play it on a hot stage, you could play it in a refrigerator, you can play it wherever you would like, and it's going to keep the sound consistent. Now you have an impedance knob, so you can actually achieve the same sound as rolling your guitar's volume knob back on the pedal itself, just for kind of precision tone dialing in for people that maybe don't want to deal with their guitar's volume knob, but you can also absolutely still use your guitar's volume knob to clean up the overall gain and fuzz sound. It's got a gain control, and it goes from pretty light, crunchy overdrive textures to pretty heavy 70s fuzzy tones, right? You're actually at the highest gain with your impedance knob to the left and the gain knob to the right. And then a Class A buffer at the input also solves some of the problems that the older original Germanium fuzzes would have, where they just don't play along well with other pedals or buffered signals and going into the front of the pedal. So let's just kick it on at full gain, and we're going to let Paul roll his volume knob down and just rip into a slightly driven silk tone amp here. Turn the impedance dial back. essentially sounds like a very sparkly overdrive, and we particularly found we liked the bass response of this pedal a lot. So when you see the light on the front of the pedal turn orange, that means that it's warming up currently. And you'll see this for about a minute or so when you engage the pedal, and when it hits green, you know that you've reached that optimum temperature and you've reached, your peak sound. You'll see it kind of flutter back and forth. It's not going to really provide that much of a tonal variation when it does this. So once it warms up the first time, essentially, you're good to go. Now we're going to experiment with something else here, and we have the Cytec Nursie Clean Boost. Cytec is another company that sent in several devices, and the Clean Boost has been super handy. It's a very transparent kind of clean boost. It's useful for all sorts of applications and gets up to 24 decibels of volume, increase. If you put it on the front end of your dirt pedals, one thing that I really like doing with it is slamming the front end and just getting more saturation, more gain out of the pedals that you already love without really changing their overall textures or tonal characteristics like a dirty boost would, right? So let's see what kind of sound we can get with full gain on the GE Fuzz and the Nursie boost slamming in. We're essentially unlocking a whole level of distortion out of this GE Fuzz that we couldn't get before. All right, very special pedal up next, the Chase Bliss and Mara CXM 1978. This pedal caused quite a stir in the industry when it came out for many reasons, but to bypass all of that, it in and of itself is an incredible accomplishment. I think that really has to be said out loud here and now on the show. We love this pedal. It sounds incredible. It's true stereo ins and outs, MIDI capability and controllability, an aux foot switch input, expression capability, and the potential for this reverb is really limitless. It has plate, hall, and room mode, and there's also a secret hidden sparse mode, as they like to call it, when you go inside the hall mode and you set the diffusion at low. We can start to explore some of the sounds, and we'll talk through some of the things that this pedal can do, and we probably won't be able to cover all the ground because it's just a very deep device. But as well as this pedal performs in stereo, I think it also should be shown how well it does in mono. So we are currently in room mode. The diffusion is set on high, so you're hearing a lot of the smearing of the guitar tones. Roll out some of the bass frequencies. Here's a little bit more of a natural room sound. You have bass decay, mid decay, and then a cross slider, which a lot of people get kind of confused about, and it's essentially a frequency splitter. So wherever this is set, your mids are going to control the decay of what is above that, and your bass slider is going to control the decay length for whatever frequencies are below that. You can use the treble knob to brighten or dampen your sound as needed. You have a mix control for getting washier sounds or more subtle room tones in this room mode we're in. And of course, a pre-delay. Let's try another. Hall mode gets quite cavernous. So the buttons at the bottom allow you to control other parameters in your reverb. You have a low, medium, and a high diffusion setting, so you can either hear more attack of your guitar and sharpness to the reverb, and as you get to higher diffusion, everything is just smeared. The tank mod can have subtle, almost imperceptible modulation, medium. It's going to add some nice warm warble in your sound. And then we can get heavily modulated in high mode. And with the clock button, you can set it to hi-fi, standard, or lo-fi. I don't find a huge variation in sound between hi-fi and standard. There's hi-fi, standard, maybe a little less presence, and in lo-fi, it's really fun because you're actually slowing down the clock. And you're going to get a glitchier, darker reverb sound that begs to be explored for more experimental applications. All right, so we're in preset mode. Let's flip through some of the presets here. Of course, you see the automated sliders, which is something everybody was excited about when this pedal came out. All right, let's explore the plate mode a little bit. It's fun to set an expression pedal to the pre-delay parameter and get some of these trippy pitch bends out of this. Only happens when I move that. Let's go to hi-fi mode. High diffusion. Let's back off in the mix now. It's worth taking a look at the hidden sparse mode. That's just lovely. Add a little more modulation. Maybe thin it out. There's also a program mode on this pedal where you can use the foot switch here to just cycle through 4 different presets that you have saved, and also has this handy jump feature that allows you, even in preset mode, to jump quickly to preset 0 and preset 5. Overall, it's a very lovely sounding pedal with a lot of creative potential.
I nap. I don't creep, I'm way too flashy. Catch me riding through the city, mugging hard with the robbers and the jackers. Hit my line up, you a big spender with bad habits. I keep it Roger Rabbit in my jacket. You know it's up there, and we up there. Quick as flash, I'm well on the flash. All I smoke is gas, every pull I choke. All I chase is cash. I don't chase these hoes, I be swift to pass. I might fuck a friend with my kin. I go up diving with a shark swim. I don't fuck with them.